So I've been getting the general impression that people haven't fully explored the built-in color tools in Final Cut Pro, so I'm going to give you a bit of a crash course on the subject. I'm not going to spend too much time on any one aspect, but here we go. I'm going to select this clip, and up here you'll see there's three little icons. They got the film strip, and next to it is a little rectangle like a prism. When you click on that, you see colors, and it says no corrections currently. What you see below it is a color board, so I'm going to go ahead and add that as a correction. So right here, you see there's color board, color wheels, color curves, or hue saturation curves, and I'll get into those other ones, but we'll start with the color board. So there it is. You got these little pucks representing the midtones, shadows, and highlights, or right here for the global adjustment. And you see if I make a global adjustment, the whole thing turns green or red or whatnot. So I find this handy just for making quick temperature adjustments if I want the whole thing to be a little warmer, see, or a little redder, or whatever you need, maybe a little cooler. You've also got these tabs up top for color, saturation, exposure, so I can grab these pucks here. You can pull up the bright, highlights. You can pull down the shadows, up and down the midtones. You can make some pretty quick basic adjustments here, and right away you can see that contrast has made an interesting improvement on that image compared to what it was. I'm going to go ahead and disable this color board effect and click that little checkbox right there, and I'm going to add the next kind of color adjustment, which is the color wheels. These are much more standard kind of color correction tools that people are used to. You got things like temperature here where you can make it cooler or warmer, whatever you need. You can grab these little pucks in these circles, and as you drag it in one direction or another, you can see it's affecting the highlights. I can maybe take the shadows and make those more blue. I can make the highlights more red if I want. You get the idea. And I'm going to go ahead and disable the color wheels, and I'll add the next kind of effects, which are color curves, and those let you get a little more in depth if you want to maybe just affect certain types of highlights. So you see her forehead got really bright right there, and then if I want, I can bring the shadows up a little bit and then crush them. You see what I'm talking about. Maybe I want to take those highlights on her forehead and really blow them out. You can do all kinds of different styles with these curves, and that's probably where you're going to achieve a lot of good looks by messing with these curves. But I'm going to go ahead and disable this effect now that you get the idea. And the last one here is hue saturation curves, which is one of the more powerful tools available. You see where it says hue versus hue, so I can select any particular hue or color in the original image, and I can tell that I want that color to be displayed differently. So if I take this little eyedropper here and I click, say, on the green of this plant, you see how it's created these parameters for me, and if I grab that center and I move it up or down, it'll either get more blue or more red. So maybe I want it to be a little more, a little more toward the blues. And if I want it to be more saturated, I'll grab the saturation eyedropper, click in that same area, and as I drag it up or down, the values increase or decrease. So we'll make it increase, so we'll make it nice and neon. And Luma, same thing. I just want to affect the greens. So I'm going to make the greens brighter or darker. You notice it's grabbing more than just that green. See how the wall got darker with it? So if you want to take these surrounding metrics and bring them in, narrow that. If you want to narrow that scope of the effect, you can see now it's only affecting the plant, but maybe not as much as you'd like. Either way, that's the hue versus hue. If I want to change the color of the jeans, maybe I can click there on the blues there. See how I can manipulate just the color of their jeans. There's all kinds of things you can do with this, and once you start combining these effects with the other tools available, you can achieve some really interesting custom looks. I'm going to go ahead and disable this and show you what I like to do quite often, which is you can isolate individual elements of your frame. So let's work with this green plant once again, and you see this area next to where it says color board. There's this little icon that shows up when you hover your mouse over it. It's not there unless you move your mouse into that area. So see, there it is right there. When I click this little icon, that's to add a mask, and we'll start with a shape mask because shapes are pretty basic. And we've got ourselves a nice circle here, as I move it around, you can see anything within this circle is going to get affected by the adjustment. So I just brightened it up right there. Maybe I want the whole thing to be blue, and you can see that shape mask is only affecting what's within the mask, but you can also affect what's outside the mask. So let's say I don't want any of those changes, and I actually just want to affect what's outside. I'll click down here on that tab, and now my changes are only affecting the outside. See? You get the idea. You can combine inside and outside if you really like and go nuts with it. I'm not going to do that. What I will do is add another color board, and this time instead of a shape mask I'm going to use a color mask. So the color mask gives you this eyedropper, and when you click somewhere in the image and don't let go, you'll see you can select more or less of a particular range. The bigger I make this circle, the more of the image is selected. So right now it's everything, but maybe I just want to affect this plant. So there we go. We're mostly just affecting the plant. You can see that some parts of their hair are getting pulled in with it, but we'll address that later. So now the plant's been selected. If you want to see your mask, just click where it says View Masks, and the bright areas of the image are the parts that are being affected. So I'll click that again to return to the normal view where I can see my changes happening. I'm going to make that plant, let's make it red this time, just to be silly. So now we've got a nice red plant here, and once again I'll go to View Masks. You can take these little sliders and you can expand them, move them in different directions to add or subtract from the mask. So now we've just refined it to include a little more of the plant and a little less of the people. Now I'm going to go up top here and I'm going to add a shape mask to combine it with our color mask. So now anything within that shape or the color area I've already selected will be affected. I'm going to shrink down this mask, but you notice the problem is the image moves and we lose our adjustment. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to track that plant from where it is to where it's going to be by going up here where it says Tracker, and then just click Analyze right here. See this green circle? It's now analyzing the path of movement for that plant, and my color mask is going to move with it. So now you can see the mask moves with the plant. I can go back to the shape if I want and make it bigger. It still moves with it. Now maybe I just want to affect the color of their jeans again. I'll add another color board, and this time I'll add another color mask, and this time I'll only want to affect the jeans. I didn't quite get as much range as I wanted to, so I'm going to say View Masks, and I'm going to go in here and play with these. So maybe I want a little bit of the less saturated blues to be included, which includes the gentleman's shirt in the background and some of the plaid here. I'm going to maybe change the color of that jean to a little more of a teal. That's the global change. Maybe I just want to do the highlights. You get the idea. There's all kinds of things you can do with this once you start combining and layering different color effects. And if you find something you really like, you can even go and you can save the stack of effects as a preset for the future.